Good evening, everyone. I wanted to do a different style of video today as both of my teams lost. I don't want to just complain for about a minute and a half. Instead, I want to do more of an in-depth analysis. Maybe try to make some light out of the losses and see what the teams can do going forward and how these losses will impact them down the stretch. So starting off here, repping the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm going to talk about their loss at Tampa Bay and then eventually make the transition to talk to the Steelers. But starting off with Philly, the Eagles traveled to sweltering Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers and ultimately fell short 33-16. It's tough to draw criticism for the Eagles in this game given they didn't have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, or future Hall of Fame right tackle Lane Johnson to start. Additionally, they lost Reed Blankenship, Cam Jurgens, and Jalen Carter throughout the course of this game due to heat-related illnesses, and several players received IVs and ice baths to keep themselves cool on the sidelines. Even despite the poor defensive performance, the Eagles scored on the final drive of the half, and they opened up the second half with a touchdown. Even after Tampa Bay scored a touchdown in response, the Eagles continued to show fight, blocking a field goal and returning it to the house for 2 points. Down 2 scores still, the Eagles had the chance to make this a close game and were deep in Tampa Bay territory before Hurts was strip sacked by Lavonte David. And yeah, that in essence was the real nail in the coffin. Was the heat a factor in this loss? I'd say so, given the fact that it was reported that the game temperature felt like 105 degrees. Players were getting IVs and ice baths along the sidelines. You can also make the same case with injuries, as the Eagles were down their 2 perennial 1,000-yard receivers and their Hall of Fame right tackle. But this does not excuse the defense missing 12 tackles throughout the game and putting the Eagles in a 21-0 hole early. This also doesn't excuse Hurts from fumbling the game away deep in Tampa Bay territory after trying to make the game somewhat competitive for once. This was his lone turnover of the game, but he continues to do this. This is his 9th straight game with a turnover. And granted, he didn't throw any interceptions, but he was playing conservative anyways because his receivers, like I said, were missing from this game. But what else was Hurts supposed to do? His receivers were not getting open and they were dropping passes left and right. But even with that, I expect the rushing attack to be somewhat more developed for this game. Saquon had a 59-yard run to set up the Eagles for his second touchdown, and by that point, you should be thinking to yourselves, dang it, why don't the Eagles just run the ball more? It's been working for them all season. But Saquon only had 10 carries on 84 yards, even including the 59-yard run. So whatever coaching decisions that Nick Sirianni's making, and yes, I know he has his hand in that playbook because he said it multiple times, he just needs to get better at understanding good football awareness. You cannot be dialing up 30 different pass plays when you are down your perennial 1,000-yard receivers. Utilize the run game, especially for a team that struggles with run defense. All of that being said, I'm not going to overreact here. The Eagles have their bye week coming up, and they're going to use this time to hopefully get healthy and smarten up from the coaching end. I didn't overreact when the Eagles lost to the Falcons, and they proceeded to dominate the Saints everywhere except for the scoreboard in week 3. They're 2-2 now, and they're a Saquon drop away from being 3-1, and I want to see what this team can do fully healthy before starting to draw some real concern. And now, on to make a transition to the Pittsburgh Steelers. No more Super Bowl, bench Fields, cancel the parade, and of course, I'm just kidding about all this. The Steelers did fall behind early, and this offense stepped up in a big way to get within 1 drive away from winning the game. If we were to look at the Steelers from 2023, their biggest issue was falling behind early and not being able to come back. In each of the games that they were behind at least 2 scores in 2023, playoffs included, they could not complete a comeback. And while they lost today, the offense showed a new form of resiliency that we did not see in 2023. To start, Justin Fields absolutely looks like the quarterback of the future for this team. He had 312 passing yards, 3 total touchdowns, and an 104 passer rating. He arguably played his most complete game of the season. And I don't see at this point why Russ needs to be involved because Fields is already doing a good enough job. That doesn't mean that Fields isn't without his improvement, but this is certainly a step up from what we saw a few games ago. The defense was absent for much of the game, but then again, so was the officiating. TJ Watt was held a bunch, but the refs were of course silent on their whistles. Joe Flacco continued to be this defense's kryptonite, but luckily, this is the only time we have to face him during the regular season, otherwise this defense would definitely get a headache. I'd consider this performance by the defense to be an outlier, especially given how well they've played through the first 3 weeks. They're still only averaging 13 points a game, even factoring this game in, which is the second best in the league through 4 weeks. Only the Chargers, a team they beat last week, is better in terms of points allowed per game. So my concern for the Pittsburgh Steelers going forward is very minimal. That being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this new video style. Let me know if you would like me to do this in the future, and we will see you guys in the next one.